in addition to having a function where we know an equation, or a function where we have an input-output table, we can also think about a function where all we know is the graph. So the graph of a function is a picture of all the pairs x, f of x, all the pairs where the x-coordinate is the input and the y-coordinate is the output. And remember, the graph of a function has to pass the vertical line test. That is, any particular vertical line can only cross the graph at most one time. So in this example, the graph we have happens to be a straight line. And we're going to answer some questions about this function just based on the graph. The first question we're going to ask is, how do we know that this is a function? And well, just looking even at the grid lines as vertical lines here, we can tell that this is the graph of a function because it passes the vertical line test. Okay, how can we actually work with a function that's given in this form? Well, okay, suppose we want to find f of 3. So the number in parentheses after the function name is the input, and then the result is the output. We're trying to find the output associated with the input value of 3. So in the graph, the input is the x-coordinate, and the output is the y-coordinate. So we want to find the y-coordinate of the point with x-coordinate 3. So let's look back at the graph and see if we can find that. So looking along the x-axis, I notice that the numbers that are actually written in are counting by 2s. So we've got 2, 4. 3 has to be halfway between 2 and 4. So we're looking now at the points whose x-coordinate is 3. And we see that this point on the graph has x-coordinate 3. Looking at the horizontal line that's on, we see, okay, y is counting by 2s as well. 0, 2. 1 is halfway in between. So we see that this is the point 3, 1. So the point that has x-coordinate 3 on this graph has y-coordinate 1. So f of 3 is 1. In this example, we don't have any context of what this function represents, so we can't give any interpretation, right? But we can still say that f of 3 is 1. Also using this graph, we can answer questions like f of what is 3? Remember, what's in parentheses after the function name is the input, and then the result is the output. So here we're trying to find the input associated with the output 3. Again, on the graph, the input is the x-coordinate, the output is the y-coordinate. And so we want to find the x-coordinate of the point with y-coordinate 3. So let's go back up to the graph and find that. So first we find the 3 on the y-axis. That's halfway between 2 and 4. And then we look over. We want to point on this horizontal line. And so the point on the graph that we're interested in is this one, right? It has some x-coordinate and y-coordinate 3. What's the x-coordinate? Well, to find that out, we look down to the x-axis. We see we're halfway between -4 and -2. So this must be -3. This is the point -3, +3. And so the input that gives output 3 is -3. Again, when we're given the input and trying to find the output, that means we're given the x coordinate and trying to find the y coordinate. When we're given the output and trying to find the input, that means we're given the y coordinate and trying to find the x coordinate.